a runner. The unmarried mother is left to raise a child without the help of the other parent. The child left without a father. But that is the stereotype, because there are fathers who want passionately to be involved in the upbringing of their children, but who are denied that wish, denied that right by the mother. Ray Kelly has a story to tell. You're very welcome, Ray, to the program.
Thank you, Pat.
I see you're wearing a tie that says you're the world's greatest dad.
And not only that, it resembles, like, I've got a young fella by Alan, and I've got a girl, Elizabeth, and I've got Grace, and I come from Springfield and Tala.
So a very appropriate
Yes.
tie. Now, tell me your story. When did you find yourself in difficulty?
6 years ago, myself and my ex-partner, we had broken up. Initially, I had Alan, and there was no problems, no difficulties in seeing Alan at all. Then I had Elizabeth and Grace to another partner, and I was denied all access. I didn't know that I wasn't legally the children's father. I basically had no legal right to
Because you'd never been married to either partner.
Either partner, and not only that, I didn't have the crucial guardianship.
You had no experience of this in law at all. I mean, you were just an ordinary fella.
An ordinary fella
who found himself in this position.
Yeah, and who actually stayed around. I mean, the perception today is that most men would run off. That's the wrong perception that's going out today.
How long had you been with your first partner?
20 years.
And then it broke up?
And then it broke up.
Okay, was it going on, wrong for a long time, or was it?
Yeah, we've gone through, like, teens and then through, like, adult stage, and then we become parents, so we didn't really actually kind of develop ourselves.
You knew each other for a long time?
Yeah.
From childhood?
Basically, yeah, right through. And then initially then what happened was it broke up. I felt it was amicable. I didn't get to see the children then for 3 months because of the courts, the delay in the courts. I then went along and I managed to get 6.5 hours. Now remember, I was a youth leader. I looked after 4 youth clubs consecutively. I spent endless hours with my children constantly. And then all of a sudden, all I was doing was 6 hours. I felt as low as anybody could ever feel. I remember actually that time, I fell on my knees and begged in the court. I really begged. And then I went home that night. I cried for 24 hours. I actually said that I sold my kids for 6.5 hours. Then I had to go, obviously went back to court again. And I'd gone back about the 7th time. And I remember I was walking through the park, and I had Elizabeth and Grace at this time. Grace was only 3 and Elizabeth was 6. And I just said to the oldest child, I said, Elizabeth, I said, look, I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. I can't fight anymore. I remember her eyes, and she turned around and she said to me, Daddy, don't stop fighting. And it just took me apart to see my flesh and blood, how her heart was broken, missing her daddy, praying that she could see her dad, not understanding what was going on. And then Grace then turned around and said, I love you all around the world and back. And then I have to leave them home. And I'm reaching out and saying, I'm sorry, girls, I really, really am. I can do nothing. And they're saying, Daddy, please, Daddy, we want to stay with you tonight. Can we do anything? And I said I couldn't. I couldn't do nothing whatsoever. And I felt so isolated. Then I started to drink, not when the children were around, because I was drinking because I hadn't got the children. I then tried to commit suicide. I slit my wrist. And I then, at Christmas morning, I woke up. I had no kids, no food, no nothing. And I just had to go out and get help to find out that there was no help out there. Absolutely no help.
But did you ring the Samaritans or anything on Christmas morning?
The Samaritans, I think, were ringing me at this stage. It was really hard. I was constantly trying to look for help. Talking to people who I never met before. I reckon I went into some form of depression. I remember walking up Dame Street, frightened of everybody that walked by me, and holding my court case like that, because somebody's going to take my kids away from me again. I just couldn't. I couldn't come to terms with the whole difficulty, the whole problem. Then there recently, Elizabeth had come over to me, and she said, Dad, I just taped a song for you. And I just started to listen to it. Next of all, it said, looking through my daddy's eyes, my father's eyes. And I said, oh God, I says, that was lovely. And I turned, and the tears were flowing over. And I says, come on, please, it'll be okay, it's okay. And she's telling me, no, Dad, I miss you, I love you. And it's terrible when you cannot tell your kids that you love them. You don't know whether they're going to go up the next morning. You don't know whether they're going to school. You don't know what's happening at all. And they've lost so much. To take away a parent from a child is child abuse. And it's a major form of child abuse in this country today.
Have you resolved your own situation yet?
Well, I went back to court 41 times.
41 times?
41 times. They don't even have tribunals longer than that. And eventually then I got 16 days access.
That's half a month,
That's
every
half a
month?
Yep.
So you've half time, really?
Yeah.
And
But
can
no-
they stay over with you?
And they stay over with me, yeah. And they break my heart. And Alan, Elizabeth and Grace, when they get together, they wreck the house. I'm not very domesticated. But it's great. It's great for them now. They know that there's somebody there. They know that somebody loves them. They know that somebody's caring for them. And they know that anytime they need anything, they basically just...
But it took all of that time in court,
Yeah.
you know, hearing after hearing, to get that victory for yourself. And it seems to me a fair situation, half time.
Yeah, it's fair now. But,
Yeah.
I mean, what I was subjected to, I was subjected to humiliation, having to pick my kids up 20 yards away from the house. And, you know, in the lashings of rain for 6 years. Constantly trying to pick the girls up. And
How old are the girls now?
Elizabeth, she's 14.
All right.
And Grace was 9 on Tuesday.
All right. But they have more of an understanding about what's going on now and what happened in those missing years.
Yeah, and then they're playing us off for each other now. They're saying, like, Mama's getting us this, so Dad then gets the Nike runners and stuff
Yeah,
like
but
that.
you can see that coming.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But I mean, as well as that, I mean, even like with clothing and trying to arrange things for them, it's very, very difficult. Christmas time, it's quite difficult. Now, Grace is making her communion, so it's quite difficult as well, because now what happens is Grace is going to go to my side of the family, and then there's going to go to the mother's side of the family. So there's a lot of confusion there, and especially for a 9-year-old little girl.
Yeah.
That can be very, very difficult.
You set up an organisation, didn't you, in Tala?
We set up an organisation then basically to address all of these issues and to address the fact of the difficulties that men have been suffering going through court, and also women as well. But more so, we actually look at the whole age of the children. The Tala Unmarried Fathers, putting children first. And we found that the amount of men that are actually going through this...
How did you find the men, though, to join your organisation? I mean, how did you
we went
advertise?
to put leaflets out, and we done small, we say articles in the newspaper. I think on the second week, we had about 6 people. God, what do we do now? And we obviously were helping them, and we tried to then send them on to counsellors if they had difficulties in any other areas. Because it's not just about the breakup. I mean, look at the whole area, the suicide death rates today. The men who are kind of excluded from literally all walks of society. Insurance, the law. Men are pitted as bad people.
Does the state give you any help at all?
State has actually nothing, absolutely nothing. They don't, men are not an agenda. Our support project is not an agenda.
Like a woman who is an unmarried mother gets certain helps from the state. Does an unmarried father get anything at all?
We get nothing. We don't get social welfare payments. We don't get local authority housing. I'm not allowed as local authority housing because my children have already got alternative accommodation.
Yeah.
So now basically what I have to do is I have to go out and rent a home. So I don't get any children's allowance. I don't get basically nothing. Even the medical card, I'm not even on the medical card, where I can actually go into a doctor. Now, the fact that I was, and the Guardian, I've informed the doctor of this, but it's now then I can actually go in, so I don't particularly need a medical card.
Yeah.
But down to the basics, down to the small little things, trying to get a passport down for the child, trying to get anything at all, even a school report. I mean, if you have guardianship, you must be able to get school reports and be able to go to doctors and so forth.
And if you'd been married and then separated and divorced,
Yeah.
you would have more rights?
Well, you would have more rights, but
Because
the
it
rights...
would all have to be sorted out in court when
Yeah.
you got your separation, when you got your divorce.
Of course.
But
yeah.
as someone who's never been married, you have the business that you're not the legal father of the children,
Yes.
unless you adopt them, your own children.
Yes, that's in it. But I mean, if you go along and you want to be the legal father of the child in an unmarital situation, it's then when you have to get a guardianship.
Okay, we have a solicitor in the audience with us, Donna McGowan. Donna, what exactly is the legal situation as regards unmarried fathers who have no access to their children or who are trying to get access to their children?
Well, legally, the unmarried fathers have no automatic legal rights in respect of their children. So when the child is born, the father is not automatically a custodial parent. He does not have automatic rights of access, and nor